May the words of my lips and the meditation of our hearts be now and always acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. It starts with a long climb up a windy mountain in the fading light of day, hunting for a strong place to pray. You need to get away. No talking for once, no cell service, no demands, nothing between you and anybody else. Just breathing, just quiet, just the stillness, just you. You sit down, you are here to pray, so you get on with it. You pray, and you pray, and you pray until you're weighed down with sleep. You're so tired that as soon as you unplug from life, you collapse. Your eyelids just feel so heavy. And behind your eyelids, it is all dark, just as it should be. But after a while, you notice a light coming from somewhere, coming through your eyelids where light should not be. You don't really want to open your eyes to see where the light is coming from, but you kind of do, but you don't. And then you look. And there he is. Someone you thought you knew really well, standing there, pulsing with light. You could almost say that light is leaking everywhere. His face is like a flame. His clothes are dazzling white. And then, as if that weren't enough, two other people are there with him, all of them standing in that same bright light. You aren't sure, but they sure do look like Moses and Elijah. But they're dead. At least they're supposed to be dead. But there they are, dead men come back to life, talking about Jerusalem. They are part of this bright light, filling up the darkness. But now they're leaving. And then there's Peter saying something. He's talking about tents. He wants to build tents. But he's interrupted by a cloud coming in so fast that this is way more than weather. A terrifying cloud that is alive. It cuts Peter off and covers everything up. You smell lightning. You can't see a thing. Then a voice from the cloud lifts the hairs on the back of your neck. Fear comes over you. There's a voice saying, listen to him. And you see Jesus. You understand Jesus. But what are you supposed to listen to? Jesus isn't saying anything. He's just shining. Or at least he was shining. But now he's not. Now it's over. Where did everyone go? Where's the light, the glory? What just happened? You think that maybe this might have been God. But then again, as Scrooge says in A Christmas Carol, it might just have been a bit of last night's gravy. Things like this may happen in the Bible. But try talking about them now, and someone's going to give you the name of a good psychiatrist. Supernatural light, famous people come back from the dead, God talking to you from inside a cloud. If anything even remotely has happened like that to you, somebody's going to wonder. And you will understand why Peter, James, and John might be really relieved when Jesus tells them to keep what had happened quiet. Gladly, you'll do that. We won't breathe a word about this experience to anybody. The story of the Transfiguration, which we just heard from Luke's Gospel, is a story about an encounter, a strange, mystical, once-in-a-lifetime, life-changing encounter. And it seems to me that the Bible does a really good job of giving us these kinds of encounters. Now, I know some people like to think of the Bible as a key, as an answer book, as a decoder, as a container of certainties. Maybe that's true. But I think what the Bible does especially well is encounters. The Bible is filled with them. A staggeringly long parade of people who run into God, who run into each other, into life's truths, and are never the same again. It's not just terrifying clouds and hair-raising voices, although there's actually quite a few of those in the Bible. But it's also crazy relatives and persistent infertility and armed enemies and deep depression. It's encounters with life-saving strangers, with miraculous children, with food in the wilderness, and heart-cracking love. And the thing about encounters in the Bible is that they have a way of breaking you open and rearranging your ideas and unveiling mysteries. They have a way of introducing you to God. I have seen some of these encounters, and I have seen them in jail. As you might know, I am the chaplain at Agassiz Youth Center here in town, and our facility holds youth from all over Manitoba who are sentenced or working their way through the court system on remand. Most of them are gang affiliated. Most of them are Indigenous. Most are addicted to drugs or alcohol. Many have mental health issues. They are all in the valleys of life. But every now and then, they climb the mountain, and a kind of glory is revealed. I like to tell the story of Matthew, who came to see me one day near Christmas several years ago, after he learned that his girlfriend back in his home community was pregnant. Clearly, the father was somebody else. Clearly, she had cheated on him, and he was angry. He yelled and he sputtered and he cried in my office. He devised schemes to get back at the father, working himself further and further into a rage. But after a while, he stopped. He calmed down. And as I said, it was Christmas. And he turned to me and said, Joseph must have felt this way about Mary. And he stepped in. He became the dad, even if Jesus wasn't his own baby. If Joseph can do it for Mary, I can do it for my girlfriend. And I could not believe what I was hearing. He had found on his own, in the biblical story, an encounter that helped him find a way forward. It really was a moment of glory, and everything was transformed. or a resident named Tommy who was suicidal for years, alcoholic, low self-esteem, who after lots of scary, close encounters, finally achieved a period of 8 months without trying to end his life. His face beamed and it glowed when he realized he had achieved 8 months. He was transfigured. And then Lionel, whose horrible crime was all over the newspapers, all over the media when it happened several years ago. He was out of control when he came into jail. He was addicted. He was almost feral in so many ways when he first came to Agassiz. But over time, over 4 years, he completed his high school. He became more social. He embraced his culture. He worked in the kitchen. He became a leader to other kids. He prayed daily, twice a day. He sang gospel songs with a guitar. He became peaceful and was much, much happier. He was transfigured. He encountered a presence that changed him. And every time I encountered them, it felt like I was encountering God. Some of you may be aware that this Sunday is a bit of a swing Sunday between the season of Epiphany and the season of Lent. That today is the last Sunday after Epiphany, and that this coming week is the beginning of Lent. Ash Wednesday is this week. It's the time of the year when we sort of look down at our maps and say, already? Because it's time to turn away from the twinkling stars of Christmas toward the deep wilderness of Lent. And as gloomy as that may sound, it's actually pretty good news. Most of us are so distracted by our screens, so busy with our work, so addicted to our pleasures, so resistant to our depths, that a nice long spell in the wilderness is just what we need. Now, nobody can make you go into that desert if you don't want to. But if you've been looking for some excuse to head to your own mountaintop and pray, then this is it. If you've been looking for some way to get out of those ruts and to discover something new, then look no further. This is your chance to enter the cloud of unknowing and listen for whatever it is that God has to say to you. This is your chance to encounter God in the mysteries and possibilities and meetings of your life. God is very good at encounters and can't wait to meet you. And perhaps when you encounter God's contagious glory, a little of that light will shine and rub off on you. Today, you have heard a story, I hope, that you can take with you when you head into Lent. It tells us that no one has to go up the mountain alone. It tells us that sometimes things get really strange before they get holy. Above all, it tells us that there is someone standing in the center of the cloud with you, shining so brightly that you may never be able to wrap your mind around it, but who is worth listening to all the same. This is God. This is Jesus, the beloved. This is transfiguration. Thanks be to God. Amen.